Welcome to the Keyport Maker Series, where we design, build, and hack EDC gear. We get all kinds of questions from our customers about adding this or that type of key into their Keyport Pivot. I'm going to show you the best way to make your key universal by cutting off the head. Now, we have been cutting the heads off of keys for our slide system for many years. We have a machine called the Decapitating, which decapitates the key head and puts a universal one-size-fits-all head on any type of key so that it works in the Keyport slide. Keyport blades are only compatible with the Keyport slide, not other types of key organizers like the Keyport Pivot. But you can cut the heads off your keys yourself to slim them down, reduce the weight, and make it more streamlined when it goes in your pocket so the heads are not sticking out the sides. And these are the keys we will be decapitating. I just wanted to pause and do a quick warning about keys like this. You do not want to just chop the heads off of your auto or motorcycle keys because it will most likely destroy them. Stick around to the end of the video and I'll provide more details about that. First, we have this multi-lock key. These high security keys are very popular in the US, but even more popular in the rest of the world. They have this curved plastic head that makes it nearly impossible to fit in any kind of key organizer. The thickness of this head comes in at 5.5 millimeters. If we remove the head, you're reducing the thickness by over half, saving you a ton of room in your key organizer. When you try to stack it with other flat keys, all the keys will splay out like this and your key organizer will not work properly. Next, we have this bike lock key. It's got this enormous head, but it's actually flat. So it would work in your key organizer and it would rotate properly if you added it, but the head is just totally unnecessary. It is well over 5 millimeters thick, and if we cut off the head, it would be under 2 millimeters thick. Now, this key is to a little safe, and it's very similar to a kryptonite bike lock key, which is one of the most popular keys we get all the time for conversion to fit in the slide. So I'm going to show you how to decapitate this key as well. This is the Schlage SC1, which is one of the most popular keys in the United States, along with the Kwikset KW1. The issue I have with the SC1 is that these pointy edges stick out the side of your pivot when you stick it in, and they can dig into your leg when it's in your pocket. This has a couple issues when you put it in your key organizer. The head sticks way out the sides, but also the hole on the top is so big that when you swing it out, it just has a lot of play. And we can take care of that by cutting off the sides of the head here and then drilling a new hole further down. Now let's see what happens when we try to stack all these keys in the pivot. Obviously it's just too thick. So I tried adding the multi-lock key, one of these plastic headed keys, along with the Schlage key. And as you can see, it makes the chassis on the pivot unparalleled. And then when you try to rotate the key out and put it back in, it gets caught. And this is just not ideal. And the locking mechanism in the pivot isn't going to function properly. If you do this, it's going to eventually come loose. Whereas if all your keys are flat, the anti-rotation locking mechanism in the pivot will ensure that it never comes loose on you. While the pivot does have a very thin chassis, the issue of the keys sticking out the sides can affect all these different types of popular key organizers. Here's all the tools you're going to need to do this. A small clamp or a table vise will work, a Dremel with a cutting wheel, or some type of angle grinder with a cutting wheel. A bench top belt sander will also work to remove the heads. A hammer, a chisel, center punch, 5/32 or 4mm drill bit, and a drill. All right, the first thing we're gonna do is cut the heads off of these keys. So we've done thousands of key decapitations and we've tried all kinds of different processes. And we found that this, what I'm gonna show you, is by far the fastest and easiest way to get it done. So what you do is you take your chisel and you wedge the edge right on the edge of the plastic head next to the blade. And then just put it down on the table like that. Hold your fingers safely so your fingers cannot be below the chisel edge. And then you're going to take the hammer and it just knocks off the plastic right next to the actual blade. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And now I should be able to just twist this. So let's try these keys. I'm going to do the same exact method. So as you can see, this key head is a lot more flexible than the first one that just kind of crumbled off. So I'm just going to pry this off of here and then we'll do the other side. Go off to the side a little bit. And there we go. It's just a straight shaft. And it already actually has a hole that might work for us. Now let's do this last one. So this key head goes all the way inside here, so there's a little bit more chiseling to do. All right, I got this one off, and this one's gonna have to be trimmed on the sides as well. Now at this stage, sometimes the keys will have holes already in them, so you can definitely just reuse those holes. If we poke this plastic out of here and test it on the pivot pin, this one is too small, but this one fits just right. So you could be done with this key at this stage here, and I'm just gonna put it aside. We could cut it shorter and drill this hole out more if you want to reduce it even more, but I think this is fine. Then for the multi-lock key, we're gonna need to drill a new hole right here. So I'm gonna use the center punch. Try to center it as best you can. So that's ready to drill. And I'm going to do the same thing with this key here. And I'm going to do the same thing with this SC1. And now we'll do the alloy key. Now I'm just going to clamp these to the edge of the table. Make sure it's good and secure. We'll do the same thing with this one. Okay, I'm upgrading my clamp to a more substantial one. And now I'm going to use the cutting wheel to cut off the edges of this key head. This is an optional step, but you can use a file or a tabletop sander to deburr it and clean up the edges and make it look a lot nicer. All right, here's the final outcome with all the key heads decapitated. Now they are smaller, lighter, and they're gonna fit in your key organizer much better. Now let's give these a try in the Pivot. And here it is. This is such a huge improvement. All of your big bulky keys that previously would not all fit in here, now fit in here. You also have room for even more keys or tools to go inside. And then when you snap on Keyport modules to the outside, now when you slide it into your pocket, you can slide it in this way and the key heads won't be sticking out and digging into your leg. If there's a particular key you have questions about, please comment down below and I'll do my best to help you out. In a future video, we're going to be covering auto and motorcycle keys with transponder chips embedded in the head and how we deal with those. We harvest the chips out so that it works in the Keyport Slide key organizer. I hope this technique improves your EDC no matter what kind of key organizer you're using, even if you haven't upgraded to a Keyport yet. See you on the next one.